One's a Chiefs fan, the other's a Pats fan, and together they make Primetime Dimes. What's up, my fellow football fanatics? Welcome back to Primetime Dimes, episode 16, your weekly source for surviving the off-season and breaking down the headlines during the season. I'm one of your hosts, Chelsea, and with me as always is Milton. Hello.
We're back.
We are.
Man, I'm so freaking excited because it means we get to discuss real fake football. Because preseason.
Yes.
Yeah. So before we get into that, though, we did take a nice little break, a very brief one, but still a break nonetheless. And you've returned with a different background. So do you want to fill in our listeners?
Yes, this is not my permanent background. I am currently at Casa de Blackwell. Shout out Hannah for letting me use a room while I find a place in exchange for cleaning your pool.
That's pretty solid.
Currently just chilling at the Blackwell household. I did sign for my first apartment, a 1-bedroom all to myself. I'm so excited. I don't have any roommates.
Wild.
I'm very poor, but it'll be all mine. I go get and pick up the keys next week and can start moving my stuff in. And I am just so excited. It's all happening so fast. I can't wait to just get the place and slow down and enjoy Ottawa. It's been so go. I've barely been able to get out and do some of the things that I love in this city, but all in due time because I do not have an end date on this visit.
Which is awesome. I love though that you're moving to my city at the same time that I am leaving my city, essentially.
I know. Well, you'll half and half.
Half and half.
And maybe we'll be able to coordinate so that we're in the same room one time.
Hopefully. It looks like I might be stuck here in Ottawa during the Super Bowl. And if that's the case, Super Bowl party at your place?
Absolutely. First of many in my new apartment.
Look forward to it because let me tell you, Ryan cannot stand football. That man's very nice, though, and watches it with me.
I mean, he did
not
pick
excited.
You gotta give him that.
Oh, of course. But because it's the most Canadian team possible.
Minnesota, eh?
Yeah, Minnesota. But we were gone a good solid few weeks, eh? So a lot's happened. Has anything kind of stood out to you, Chelsea, about what's happened over the last 3 to 4 weeks?
Heck yeah, we got some NFL updates, some camp updates since that ended, and the preseason, we just had our first weekend of preseason, so we'll get into that as well. For the NFL updates in general, first I wanted to point out, especially since we got this news today as we're recording, that Alex Smith is going to be joining the ESPN network as an analyst for some of their shows, and I'm really excited that he's still going to be a face around the NFL now that he's retired.
Yeah, he deserves that. He's very insightful and unfortunately just got dealt a pretty raw deal in the NFL. And it happens, but it doesn't mean his mindset and the way he sees plays really changed. So I can't wait to watch his insight, especially after seeing what Tony Romo could do.
Yeah, I'm loving it.
Yeah, in other news, though, I'm not sure if you saw this, Nate Burleson, he used to play in the league. He used to host Good Morning Football, but he actually moved over to CBS This Morning. So daytime news, talk show news.
She's going to be a morning talk show host now?
Yeah, it's really cool to see.
That.
Yeah, and we know
That's
it's been
awesome.
successful before with Michael Strahan, so it could be really interesting to see. So although not still NFL, football adjacent.
Yeah, no, that is still a good step for his career because maybe he didn't want to talk about football forever. And you know what? On this show, he can probably still talk about football if he wanted to. So I think that's a great move for him. And I'm really excited to catch him on their morning show.
Yeah, I can't wait. But back to football, right? That's what we do.
Back to more football news. We have injury report out of the Colts.
We're back, football.
Not only did Carson Wentz get injured and is looking at to be out 5 to 12 weeks, they're hoping he'll be back for week 1 of the actual season. him and the Colts second string quarterback are both out currently, as well as their all-pro guard Quentin Nelson, who's going to go under foot surgery, also looking to be out 5 to 12 weeks, but they're expected to be back for week 1. So I guess we'll wait and see. I was so excited to watch Carson Wentz play on the Colts, and I guess we're just going to have to wait a little bit longer.
Yeah, the thing I find hilarious about this situation is that it's due to a broken or a like crack in a bone in his foot. One that they're saying was an old injury, an injury from when he played for the Eagles.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, this is like the 4th time I've heard of a former Eagles player coming to a new team and having an old injury diagnosed. And I'm just like, okay, either the medical staff actually sucks or
Like at the Eagles?
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Or, these players are being forced back to play a lot sooner than they really should be at the Eagles. But really, what I want to know when it comes to the Wentz situation is this dude just made of glass? Is it that they're bad at the Eagles and they force him back? Or has this dude now just hit a point where he is old and broken? Which sounds so much worse than I mean it.
I don't know. I'm leaning towards he's on the older end of quarterbacks in the NFL. Like, he's not that old, but he's definitely one in the older section if we're going to look at the NFL in general. He is definitely an older quarterback. I don't know whether it was, the medical staff or the defensive coordinator who is just like not protecting these players well enough, if their staff isn't protecting these players by not letting them or not pushing them to go on the field. I'm not too sure exactly what the situation is that's causing a lot of Eagles players to end up injured and having reoccurring injuries. Maybe it's just the specific injury that Wentz had that is like easily reactivated, like it's easy to re-injure. I'm not too sure. There's a lot of different factors here. I just want him to be okay.
Yeah, it was just funny because like initially I was like, oh, it could just be the Eagles.
I don't remember a season since the Super Bowl that they won that he hasn't been injured for like the full season, like has played a full healthy season. Like I feel like this, and he was out in the Super Bowl, right? He got injured.
Yeah.
Was it in the Super Bowl he got injured?
He got injured earlier in the season.
Yeah. So it was like before then, I don't remember, like since then, I don't remember a time where he's had like one full healthy season. So I think I'm leaning towards he's probably older and it's an injury that's easy to re-injure and reoccur, especially on your foot. You're obviously going to get your foot stepped on. Someone's going to fall on it. You're going to get tackled funny. Your foot's going to go the wrong way. And we've seen it time and time again. So I think it's just in a spot or a place that is like easily to re-injure.
Yeah. And honestly, like injuries to your feet suck. Like,
yeah, man, you got to walk on those.
Man, they're so hard to heal. Like I tore and like messed up my foot, February 2 years ago?
I've torn a ligament in my foot and was out for like a full month because the only way to heal that is to stay completely off it. And like nobody wants to stay completely off their feet for a month.
Yeah. I can't imagine it. I do hope he's back week 1 though. I can't wait to see what he does.
Me too. prayers for Wentz for a week 1 return because I would love to see him play the full season at least.
Football's only good
in the past 5 years.
Yeah, football's only good when the good players play. Like, as much as I'd love for the New England Patriots to be able to like walk into the Super Bowl and walk home a championship, that's no fun. Like, the whole point is to watch them beat people, and why not beat the best? So it's like, come back once. Not that I think your team's going to be good, but
you want to be in the championship with the best. Like, you don't want to feel like you were kind of cheated out of it because, the other team didn't have all their strong players, and they would have been there if, they weren't. So
exactly.
But yeah, more to come about Wentz playing on the Colts for week 1. Hopefully we see it. But moving on, we got some news from the Vikings. They have released their cornerback, Jeff Gladney. Yeah. Jeff Gladney. I think I got that one right. We're getting better with the names, guys. But yes, he was released following indictment for a felony assault. There was a statement put out by the Minnesota Vikings saying that following their review of the indictment against Jeff. They have decided to release him immediately. They have previously said that they take these matters very seriously and condemn all forms of domestic violence. Due to the ongoing legal nature of this matter, they're unable to provide any further comment. So the investigation for the indictment is still ongoing, but they have released him. I think that's good on them for taking some action before the court actually does, or before any charges are officially laid. But I mean, obviously things don't look good if his team doesn't believe that he's innocent in this. So
get
I
gone.
don't know if another team will pick him up that's desperate, but as of right now, he has been released and is not likely to play in week 1.
Yeah, get gone, stay gone. We don't need you in the league. He'll
probably have a suspension on him as well once things finalize with like the actual law aspect of it all. But yeah, there's some news out of the Vikings there. They've released their cornerback. So another more unhappy news. I'm like not happy about this one at all. Is that LDT, the doctor from the Chiefs, is out 4 to 6 weeks. He's likely returned for the season start. Do I remember what the injury is? No.
Yeah.
But I can't remember what the injury is for the life of me, but he was injured. I guess it happened during camp, and I'm just like so upset because he sat out last season to go help people, and now that he's finally back, he gets injured, and that's just he put in so much work on the off season. I was watching him work out outside in the Montreal winters, digging out his weight rack, doing those kettlebells in the snow. Like he was preparing for the season while he was still working as a doctor in his hometown. So I just, this breaks my heart. But they're likely to return for the season start, so not that bad.
Yeah, no, he'll be fine. Take more rest. He doesn't need more reps. It's not like he's a rookie, so
yeah, I think he'll be okay
play him?
Missing the rest of the rest of training camps, and he'll miss preseason. But I think as long as his injuries allow, I think he'll be okay to play week 1.
Well, and the thing with preseason is like it's so designed for rookies and younger players and inexperienced. Yeah, you're gonna put him into week 3 or preseason week 3, which is when the final preseason game. That's when all the regulars typically play the first half.
Only doing 2 preseasons.
3 preseasons. It went from 4 down to 3, and then
it went from 3 down to 2.
Yeah, so 4 down to 3, and then with how it's structured on that 3rd week, it looks like they really get almost 2 full weeks. 2 full weeks. Okay. Slightly, it would be like the Sunday they play on the Thursday, and then they get 2 or they play on the Sunday and then they play not the upcoming Thursday but the following Thursday type deal. Okay. So they have almost 2 full weeks after week 3. But anyways, you would play them in week 3 of the preseason to then be able to get, the cadence correct, the plays set, and get the practice. You play about a half of a game, maybe 3/4 of a game.
Oh yeah.
He doesn't need those reps. He's had these reps. Yeah, he might be a little slow because he didn't play last year. Muscle memory. It comes back. He does. Let him sit.
He's been training. It's not like he needs to hit the weight room every day and catch up on things. Like, he has been keeping up physically with where his body needs to be to play in the season. It's now a matter of getting back in that groove of actually playing, which I don't think he'll have a hard time doing. So hopefully the injury doesn't set him back. But we'll move on to some good news. For Browns fans out there, Nick Chubb has agreed to a 3-year, $36.6 million extension. So that's good news for the running back out of the Cleveland.
Yeah, that's nice to see. He got paid.
I'm happy he's staying. He really does them well.
He does. He does.
He really does. So I'm really happy they decided to keep him. I think it was very smart on their end not to get rid of him.
Yeah.
And then one more just general NFL update that we got today as well as of recording. Patrick Mahomes is set to release his first signature shoe with Adidas.
Are you going to get it?
Fuck yeah. I don't even care if it's a men's shoe. I will find one in my size and I will buy it. They look so fucking cool. And they're like green with the white. I love it. I love it. You need to go look it up if you haven't yet. It looks fucking sick. But they're supposed to be called the Mahomes 1.0 Impact Flex, FLX is how they've named it. And it's set to release on August 23rd. So, as broke as I am, I will be saving up for those shoes.
Yeah, they look pretty darn good. There's actually,
even if it's just to put them on my shelf, I don't fucking care. I want them.
yeah, that's fair. Well, you'll have to show them on the podcast if you get them. I can't wait.
If I get them.
There's one important update, at least to me, I think it's pretty important. And if you also dislike the Cowboys, it's news you might like. But so Dak Prescott, who's their quarterback, is coming back off of a major injury to his ankle. So last season he had his ankle broken in quite a few ways. Yeah, it was not nice at all. And he required actually 2 surgeries about it, which the media didn't even know there was a second surgery until last week when he just said it on Hard Knocks. Yeah, he was just so happy that the media hadn't figured it out, as if he wasn't being recorded.
As much as I hate that Hard Knocks is following Dallas again, it was smart of them to do it on Dak's return. Like, that
absolutely.
That's going to bring a lot of viewers. But like, as the only way they're going to do the Cowboys again is if there was another like appealing aspect to it, which is watching Dak return. So
yeah, and it's just weird because, well, not weird, but he's actually undergone 2 MRIs in the last couple weeks. And it's for an injury in his arm, in his throwing arm. Now, the reason that the
second surgery was for his arm, or he had a second surgery on his foot?
He had 2 surgeries on his ankle. Okay. Now, recently, over the last 2 weeks, he's had 2 MRIs done due to an injury, but nothing has reached the injury report until I think it was today as of recording. And honestly, I guarantee you he has a tear in his throwing arm, because we know it's upper body, and it's just how he's throwing it. He's not going to be using his lower body much because he's scared of his ankle. And
I hope he doesn't.
They say
I don't see a scared Dak on the field this year.
This is my concern, because like they do say it's not his ankle, and they have said his MRI has been clear. But the only reason you're looking at that arm on your throwing arm, if he has not been hit, is if they're concerned about some tearing, because he would be
just
scared.
From the motion.
Yeah, and you'd be super scared by like biomechanically. You're concerned about getting hit, just logically and as under fear preservation. Like, you're scared about re-injuring that, and after what he had to quote unquote live through, I'm not surprised he's scared of that. Like,
not only that, but like, does he even trust his defense at this point if he's not even trusting his own foot?
Yeah. Oh yeah, like you're concerned about his offensive line protecting him. Like I would be,
defensive line.
Yeah, I'd
his
be,
defense.
Yeah, I'd be scared, of course.
Like, I'd be worried that they're not going to protect me because they didn't do it. Like, didn't do it last year. But yeah, that's rough, man. I just like, Dak is such a good quarterback. I want to see him leave. I want to see him get better, and I want to see him leave Dallas, which I know he won't do. I know he won't do it.
No, the money's too good.
The money and the branding,
the brand,
like, the franchise you're with, like, that is just far too much for him to leave, as opposed to like being on a team that could actually utilize him, and he could take that team to the Super Bowl. Like, I'll say it here, I don't think Dak Prescott can take the Cowboys to a Super Bowl. I think he could take another team to the Super Bowl. I don't think he can take the Cowboys to a Super Bowl.
I just don't want the Cowboys in the Super Bowl, so I want to agree with you.
I don't want to see him in a Super Bowl either, but that's like, I have a very strong opinion about that. Like, I think Dak would be even better than he already is on a better team.
I mean, I think you can say that about any QB.
You can say that about any player, but like, I don't know, it's just very disheartening that like he's not doing anything to leave, in my opinion. I don't know.
I think that's just your hatred. I think that's your hatred towards the Cowboys. And I'd agree with you.
I hate the Patriots, and I don't think that Mac Jones should have gone somewhere else. I mean, I also hate Alabama, but I think where he, like, you know what I mean? Like that.
But you know they're getting developed correctly. You're angry, or you sound like you're angry because he's not getting enough. System. Yeah, and like, he's right for not wanting to leave there. I mean, I wouldn't want to leave there either.
I get it. It's just annoying.
But I can't wait to watch what Dak does, as long as it means that they still lose by a field goal every single game.
Yeah,
I
I'm
hope
with you on
Dak
that one.
balls out and they still lose, because that makes me happy.
But yeah, we can move into our some NFL camp updates since that has closed since we last recorded. They had their training camps. The most prevailing topic, I think, with the training camps was COVID-19, as it's still having a major impact on how the NFL season is going to be conducted. The league is trying to find ways to work around unvaccinated players and staff. As unfair as that sounds, they still have to deal with those players and staff that decide they don't want to vaccinate. So that includes, restricting access to certain areas, them having to distance at certain events. And there was a little bit of talk about having wristbands for unvaccinated players so that they're like easily markable. And I don't know how well that's gonna go over.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where this goes, because they announced, now the NFL arguably has done some really good things with dealing with COVID,
Yep.
and I'm not saying they're
And
wrong at all. But
yep.
I do think we could see the NFL actually take a harsher stance as time progresses,
So they
because
have.
because other private businesses, which the NFL is, have taken harsher stances. And
Yep.
so we could see a lot worse, even
I
from
think
now.
we have seen them get a bit harsher because as the league starts up, we're seeing that they've been adding more and more things. So for example, last year we saw that a lot of games had to be rescheduled within the NFL season, and that fell on the organization itself to make sure that there was enough time between games, that it didn't interfere with the rest of the schedule, because you can't play a game on a Monday and then that game gets canceled, so they play Tuesday, but then they have to play Thursday. Like, that's not enough time to rest for football. They needed to make sure there was enough time between games. This season, however, if your team has an unvaccinated player that causes an outbreak, you have to forfeit that game if that team cannot find a reasonable rescheduling. So if that game cannot be rescheduled, it will be considered a forfeit. And I think that's going to force a lot of the NFL management to make sure that their players are vaccinated, because they don't want to have to forfeit because one player didn't get vaccinated and now there's an outbreak in the staff or something like that. So
Can't wait to watch Buffalo and the Vikings get screwed, because you have Cole Beasley, who will not get vaccinated after just ingesting so much misinformation that you can't even knock it out of his head. And friggin' Kirk Cousins, who I think is actually the most disrespectful of them all, because he teamed up with a hospital at the start of this pandemic, tried good publicity and all of this, tried to promote them, said thank you for saving us and all of that. Now recently has said that he's not vaccinated. Well, it's been figured out that he's not vaccinated. Said he would rather walk around in a glass box than get vaccinated, which I find is super ironic. Yeah, yeah. He's like, if I have to get plexiglass all around me to protect all the other guys, I will. I'm like, or you could get a vaccine, which is scientifically proven to be correct.
Vaccine or quit. Like, that's, and we have seen, I don't know how, I think you told me this earlier, like DeAndre
Hopkins.
every time.
Yeah, Hopkins.
DeAndre Hopkins had announced, after they had announced these kind of rules about getting vaccinated, was like, I'd rather retire than get vaccinated. Like, I'm thinking about retiring, and like that just made me so sad after the season he just came off of, and like how well the Cardinals are built right now. I'm like, you really want to quit when the Cardinals are about to make a Super Bowl run? Really? I'd rather get vaccinated and get a Super Bowl ring than quit.
Yeah, it's a bunch of people that have gotten so much misinformation in their heads that it's like,
he has
wow.
a Super Bowl ring. Like, he has yet to accomplish that. And for you to potentially give that up just because you don't want to get a vaccine that is going to help people, I don't get your thinking. But I know that he's kind of retracted that, saying he wouldn't actually retire, but now we know how he feels about it.
Yeah, no, it's absolute absolutely ridiculous. But like with
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins, it was funny because he also said in the same press conference that he's like, I'll wear plexiglass around me. He's like, yeah, that's okay. The hospital will help me. And it's like, this is what I'm
Oh.
so sick of unvaccinated people, specifically these football players that are being very vocal about their right not to put a vaccine into their system is, oh, the
Yeah.
healthcare workers will save me. It's like, why aren't you listening to those same healthcare
Healthcare
workers
workers.
when they recommend you take said vaccine to prevent you from having COVID and going to the hospital? I don't care.
The
Comments, come at
stupidity.
me.
The stupidity that is coming out of some of these players' comments about having to get the vaccine is just mind-boggling. But I mean,
Tell me you're uneducated without telling me you're uneducated is what I want to say to some of these
Breezy
football
will
players.
go first.
Yes. I'd love to sit down with them just to understand their stance. Like,
I mean,
not to
everyone
judge
has their
them.
opinions, but
Yeah.
like opinions these days, people take their opinions as like their personal fact, and it's like there's a difference between fact and there's a difference between opinion, and your opinion can be wrong, and nobody wants to admit that. So I think we're really seeing that with COVID and like everything that's happening. And I mean, the camps were just a glimpse at how
that's gonna be
difficult it
nuts.
was. So we can only just wait and see what kind of shit show is going to happen throughout the season. But I am happy that, the NFL has put the onus on the teams to make sure that they're vaccinated. And if there aren't and there's an outbreak, it's their responsibility to find a new time or forfeit.
Yeah. Question. Prediction.
Yes.
How many teams do you think have to forfeit a game this upcoming season?
I don't know, because in my head I'm like, well, maybe the same team will have to forfeit twice.
Okay, no, let's just say team.
Right?
It doesn't
Teams in general?
yeah, it does not matter how many games they have to forfeit, but let's say like we can assume the Bills will have to forfeit a game.
I'm going to assume the Bills. I'm just trying to think of areas that it's bad. I want to say Texas. So Houston might have to forfeit a game. Like I'm just thinking of like the areas that have low vaccination rates. The chances of a player coming into contact, bringing that into the facility and spreading it is more likely than in a place like California, where there are more vaccinated people, right? So that's where I'm kind of thinking like, okay, maybe Texas, so maybe the Texans, maybe the Bills. I'm not very up to date on the American vaccination rates, but I'm going to say three teams, not three forfeits, but I have a feeling there are going to be three different teams that might have to forfeit solely just because that state's vaccination rates are so low, it's bound to happen.
Yeah.
Even if you have one, or even if you have like 10 unvaccinated people in your entire organization between players and staff, if two of them get it and spread it to the other three, that's considered an outbreak, and you either have to forfeit or move your game.
Yeah, and the one thing I guess we didn't make clear on this one, although I do believe we made clear on the last episode, is that if you only have to forfeit a game or will only be given a loss if the outbreak is caused by an unvaccinated player, because the NFL is taking into account the fact that there are what is known as breakthrough cases, which is when someone who is fully vaccinated does get the disease or the virus in this case.
I believe you're right. If an unvaccinated player causes an outbreak, then it's that team's responsibility to reschedule or forfeit the game if they can't reschedule within the NFL season.
Yeah, and then what's even more insane, and this is why we have I say insane just because of the amount of money, but the owners got really pissed off too, because they're going to have to, whichever team has to forfeit, has to pay the other team losses.
Oh, is there a fine?
Yeah, losses. So let's say the Chiefs.
I'm over here like, what's going to happen with my fantasy team if they forfeit? I didn't even think about if there was going to be a fine.
Man, so like, let's say the Bucks come to New England, right? That money that game is supposed to make so much money, it's insane. Imagine if it got if the Bucks had to forfeit, right? Okay. Yeah. So if the Bucks have to forfeit that game, the owner of the Buccaneers owes the owner of the New England Patriots $70 million. Now that's just what is assumed earnings, right? right?
I mean, that's
That
smart
doesn't,
because then the management's going to put pressure on
yeah,
the players. Be like, I don't want to pay
exactly.
this fine. Maybe they're
That's
going
why
to make
you
the
saw
players pay the
owners.
fine.
That's why you saw owners start speaking up. And like literally
Okay.
Jim Irsay of the Colts, he's the owner of the Colts, was like,
Yeah.
yeah, my players, you guys have to get vaccinated. Like get vaccinated or da
Get
da
off
da
the
da.
team.
Like he obviously phrased it in such a manner that is legally correct, but
Oh
basically
boy.
it was get vaccinated or get gone.
This is going to be interesting come the
Yeah.
season
I
start.
cannot
Like I
wait to
said, I'm
watch
expecting,
this.
I don't know how many times, but I'm expecting at least 3 teams to have to forfeit.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, last year these teams were getting fined left, right, and center for breaking COVID violations, not wearing their mask and stuff like that. And like they didn't care. They were throwing millions left and right and center. Like I don't care. And then
Yeah,
I just,
but
that's why I'm like, yeah, maybe is it a heftier fine now?
well,
If you
oh
cause the
yeah,
outbreak?
$70
Okay.
million to your
Okay, yeah, before it
owner.
was like
A million,
Before it was
maybe.
like 25 million to your
Thousand.
organization.
Yeah. Like,
It was like a
and
couple million to your organization. Now
and
it's 70 million to the owner.
now that's just the game, right? That doesn't account for any other losses. So like in the case of the Patriots Buccaneers game, it could be hundreds of million. Like obviously the owners can afford it, like they're billionaires.
Yeah.
However,
They don't want to have to fork that out.
we're talking about money that probably you and I will never see in our lifetimes and cannot even fathom. And some of them might be like, yeah, that's nothing, but it's a lot of money.
But yeah, we'll have to see what happens with the COVID-19 unvaccinated situation
Can't
in
wait.
the NFL. Like that's just going to be a week by week thing. We're going to have to see what happens if more players get vaccinated. I'm not quite sure. I should have looked it up before the episode. I'm not too sure what the vaccination rate among the NFL is, but I know I read somewhere like half of the teams have like above 85% vaccination. So I know we're getting there with the NFL, but
Yeah,
we'll move on because
one team is not well vaccinated, and it's the Washington football team. So much so that the coach came out and was like, you'd think for a group of people who know that their coach just went through a round of chemotherapy, which destroys his immune system, that they would have gotten vaccinated. Yeah. Sorry, that's my last tidbit on this COVID.
Yeah, I know we get so riled up about it. But yeah, we'll moving on for more camp updates. So, Deshaun Watson was not at the Texans' first padded practice. He's still they said it was because he's dealing with lingering minor injuries. I don't know if that's their way of saying it's because of a lawsuit and they don't want to say it.
No, it's because he didn't come when they asked him to come, so they're covering their own ass. They don't care about this lawsuit stuff. It's he just didn't show and they were pissed.
He did report to the Texans camp after remaining away from the club all off season. The investigation is still undergoing by the NFL and the police. There isn't anything new out of the investigations, unfortunately. I would love to be able to have an update on that, but unfortunately the investigation is just still ongoing. He reported to camp. He wasn't at the padded practice. So there's some little holes here in the camp situation for him, but yeah, his trade request remains in place.
He's listed.
The team is willing to listen to trade offers. Have they been getting any? I don't think so.
Yeah, they absolutely have.
Okay.
Yeah, like
I haven't heard anything.
You
about
don't
trade offers for
understand
Watson.
how much like the NFL
So why
does
haven't they
not
traded him
care
already?
because they don't want to. The NFL does not care right
so
now
annoying.
about the lawsuits. They've gotten trade offers. They have not gotten what they think he's worth yet. So they have not gotten
that's why
the
I'm like,
four.
why haven't you just gotten rid of this PR?
Because they want him to play.
I would have. He's worth.
They want him to play, and the
Lawsuit
thing
aside,
is,
he's a good player. He's worth the money, so I understand why they are withholding him for a better deal.
well, it's not even that. It's like, oh, well, better offer. Yeah. They want 4 first rounders for him. They're not going to get
Holy
4
shit.
first rounders. But at the end of the day, do you pay that? Absolutely, you do. Because he's going to get suspended for, let's say, 6 to 10 games. He's not going to be suspended for long, and then he's going to be allowed back in the league, and he'll play. It's going to be you're more.
And he'll be allowed to play until the investigation finishes,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah,
he can
and
continue to play until he gets, like,
yeah.
this is, you are guilty, you are suspended for X amount of games. But because that hasn't happened yet, I guess he's still allowed to continue to
Oh
play
yeah.
and participate in the club's activities. So.
No. They can suspend him at any time. So
But they haven't.
yeah, they're definitely
Okay.
waiting to see how this comes down, but they're going to see, let's say, okay. Right now, Deshaun Watson's listed as the 4th string quarterback for the Texans. He doesn't want to play for the Texans. Yeah, he does not want to play for the Texans, but he has done everything legally required of him by his contract. So he has not been fined for missing camp on without an explanation. He's not been fined for, showing up late, anything detrimental to the club. If he gets traded for the 4 first rounders, I would expect the NFL to be like, okay, here's your suspension. And they'll suspend him for the 6 games or whatever the precedent has been set. So maybe 10 games.
Yeah.
Because it depends where they want to go with precedent, but they might just go 10 games.
Same situation as Hunt, but he got, I can't remember if it was 8 or 10, but it was on the.
And I think they would match that or whatever whatever Roethlisberger got from.
I'm not sure what
from his sexual allegations. Yeah, and you would mirror it, like you would go with it, and then after he has been suspended for that, if he is found guilty, the only thing the NFL can do, they can't suspend him again for the same offense, but they can put him on the commissioner's exempt list, which would bar him from being on any team at all.
That's what happened with Hunt. He was put on the exemption list, so he couldn't be on any team. And then he was taken off and given the 8. I think it was 8. He was given the 8-game suspension. And then the Browns picked him up and he was able to play the second half of the season.
So the one thing I do find interesting about this whole situation, and again, I do think I just find this interesting. I'm not saying at all that the victims are lying or that anything against that. I believe them. He very interestingly has not been placed on that commissioner's exempt list. And with Hunt, it was immediate because we had the video evidence.
We had the video
I want to know if those first couple allegations, I'm not saying any of the other ones, but those first 2 that are linked to that lawyer who is linked to the owner who has explicitly been proven to have falsified data before.
Yeah.
If there's something on those 2, if there's something being said as to is there that proof that we thought there was initially for those 2? And again, he still could have done it. I'm just wondering if it's not as cut and dry as what the lawyer made it seem like initially, because the NFL was quick. Anytime there's video evidence of things or hard proof of it, it's normally very quick onto the exempt list. Again, still think the victims are telling the truth. I just am curious about survivors. The lawyer. Yeah, sorry. Yep, survivors. My apologies. Survivors are telling the truth. I just am curious about what happened with the lawyer. I'm
on the opposite spectrum of you on that here, and I think that it's the other way. I don't know how to say this, but there have been a lot of, I don't want to say a lot, but I saw a report recently that the women who have filed this suit are getting very fucking frustrated that people keep accusing them that it's
for sure
just to put his name to shame. And I'm like, so that's been picky. They're fighting it a lot, and I feel like if it weren't true, and if the lawyer was trying to I don't want to say use them, but it's is using their cases as leverage.
Maybe that's what I'm most curious about. I don't think they'd be fighting that as hard.
I feel like these survivors would have sort of given into the pressure if they weren't if it didn't actually happen, if they weren't actually survivors, if this never happened, and they're just doing it to shame his name. But there has been a lot of pushback from the survivors who have filed these cases that they're really frustrated and upset with the amount of backlash that they've gotten from.
I mean, they should have expected that. They kind of knew that. And again, not on the survivors, but what I'm more interested about is is the lawyer just using them? Not even them being wrong or them being
Yeah.
like falsely doing anything that, and more just like the lawyer being like, okay, here's the opportunity. Him not even really caring about his own clients, but more caring about the fact it's a high profile case. It's
I
like,
just don't like speaking about it this way because,
oh
like,
yeah, I don't.
if this was another lawyer, we wouldn't even be talking about this. It's just the fact that that lawyer has that connection to the organization that we're like, is this sus or is this true? So I would rather not continue to talk about the situation going on with Watson until like we have some actual like fact-based evidence reports, whatever, from this investigation. Because we could sit here all day and on hearsay and say, what if it's this? What if it's that? But yeah, there's been a lot of questioning about the lawyer's like intent with filing these, and there's been a lot of backlash on the people who filed them. So
which there shouldn't be.
The seesaw
now they
is
shouldn't
just
be
going
surprised
like this right now, and
but there shouldn't be any blame on the survivors at all. I'm not surprised. They should have expected the backlash, but anyone going after them needs to stop. Like that's
exactly
unacceptable.
That's first and foremost, that needs to stop.
Yeah.
Like, you can't say anything until when in this case is said and done, and let's say he is proven innocent, then you can go and hound those girls. I don't care. They probably deserve it for lying, but
you discredit
right
every
now,
other. Yeah.
Exactly. Right now, there is no need for backlash on anyone's end until investigations are finished. So
yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure we'll have some more Deshaun Watson news on that. I mean, they have 22 separate cases that they have to investigate that were filed against him. So I understand why it's taking a long time.
Unless they're trying to form a class action, that would be interesting.
Maybe that's why it's taking a while. I guess we'll have to see on that. But one more camp update, a long debated topic on this show as well. Aaron Rodgers has returned to Green Bay for a training camp, and he also was at a press conference where he talked about, I guess I want to say, the state of his career, like how he felt being back at Green Bay. Do you have anything to touch on that for Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, he's absolutely gone next season.
Do you think he's retired?
No. He's going to go play for whoever he wants, which I think would be Denver, which is his home.
So you think he's just
home.
sucking up this year, doing it to finish it, and he'll be out of here?
He basically just negotiated a deal that made it. He's following Tom Brady's blueprint there.
It worked for him,
right? Like literally, he's just like, okay, this is what I want. I will come back. Yeah. I will not cause any problems, but I want this person in my camp, and I want this person in the camp, and I won't be surprised if we see one other signing from his old Green Bay core, because he started retweeting a few. From I think it's Jordy Nelson, but I'm not positive. But anyways, someone else from his old core will be back on the team this year, and it's basically a run back season. See if you can finally win it, and then they've.
I would. I don't want it for Green Bay, but I want it for Aaron Rodgers.
Absolutely,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Green Bay has basically stated that they will not. Well, they relinquished their right to franchise tag him. So they can't make him stay. They voided the next year of his deal. So again,
he made them do all this so he would come back.
Absolutely. You can see it clear as day. So he's gone.
The power Aaron Rodgers holds right now is the power I wish I had.
And the only reason he's playing 1 year is for those fans and to become the because before
I think he wants to give it to the fans.
Yeah, and he wants to be the longest tenured Packers quarterback, which he'd become on week 1. So it's there are some minor things that he could accomplish by staying this one more season. So it is definitely mutually beneficial. Yeah. But he's gone. He is gone next year. No question.
I'm excited to see where he goes. I hope he doesn't retire.
No.
You never know. He might get injured this year and decide to retire. I hope that doesn't happen. Knock on wood. I'm sorry I spoke that into existence. I take it back. But
I'm offended. I'm not a Green Bay fan, and I'm offended.
I didn't mean that. I didn't mean it.
Aaron Rodgers is good for football. Let's go.
I'm sorry. Anyways, we'll move into the last bit of our show. We'll talk about the preseason games. We got to see a lot of the rookies out for their first time on the NFL field. We'll start with Mac Jones. I mean, first off, he just got one of the warmest welcomes to the NFL I have ever seen. I've never seen Patriots Nation more excited for someone than probably Tom Brady. He got such a big applause coming onto that field.
Pats Nation is fucking
Are
pumped.
Are you on the bandwagon with the rest of them, or do you need a few more games to convince yourself?
No.
You're on the
Okay.
hype train?
Here's the thing. I still agree with everything I said when we drafted him. In terms of, I'm not thrilled we're back to a Tom Brady-esque type player. Like, Tom
You
Brady.
can't deny his
Tom
talent,
Brady
though.
won us a lot of games. His
It's
way.
hard to compare him.
No.
No, like comparing anyone to Tom Brady. It's
Not
hard.
even that. It's just more like the prototype. It's like Tom Brady's the stay-at-home quarterback. So I'm not even talking about Tom Brady in the sense of he's won all these accolades, but it's more like as a quarterback, Mac Jones emulates Tom Brady. He is a stay-at-home quarterback. And I was just kind of excited that we could get a Trey Lance or a Justin Fields, a Pat Mahomes type player, like someone who leaves the pocket. I do truly believe that's where I do truly believe that that's where the game of football is going. It's going towards a play action type game. Now, yes, Tom Brady's done a very good job of putting play action into his playbook and being able to do the short or mid range throws, and that's what Mac Jones will do. But you can't deny that there is a certain thrill knowing that no matter how hard your quarterback is being rushed, he could run out of it. Like Justin Fields, if you watched his game, literally he was being bull rushed from both sides, and he was just like, all right, I'm going to squiggle through and go get a touchdown. Like, I don't think Mac Jones is doing that.
He had.
Yeah. It's like, I don't think Mac Jones is really going to do that. But Mac Jones was the highest rated pro football quarterback rookie quarterback this past weekend. He had like an 82.0, and then it was followed by Zach Wilson and all of that. He's very accurate. Like, he made some great plays. There was a giant missed TD. Like, he literally dropped the ball right into his receiver's hands on a beautiful throw. So it's like, I'm excited for Mac Jones, but this is Cam Newton's team. Cam Newton will play first week. We will see Mac Jones probably by week 5, because let me tell you, Cam Newton did not look good in the first few.
I don't think Cam's going, like, he may start, but I don't think he's going to ever play a full game.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting.
Unless they're winning.
It very much will be interesting to see, because Mac Jones is our future. Next year, I guarantee you, barring Mac Jones like absolutely flaming out suddenly, which he didn't look like he was going to.
Yeah.
He's our quarterback next year. He's probably our quarterback halfway through this season.
Yeah.
But I didn't say it at the top of the show, but when we talk preseason, take everything we have to say with a grain of salt.
Yeah,
because
we watched all these players play once.
and at the end of the day, like, you have your starters in for maybe 1 to 2 series, and then you slowly increase it as the weeks progress, because you want to get them more game on experience.
Oh yeah.
But Mac Jones, he had maybe a series or 2 against the number 1 defense for the opposing team. Like, he didn't play all of his series against an NFL number 1 offense, and I haven't seen that yet. So I'm not skeptical. I'm on the bandwagon, but it's too soon for some of the hype people have been giving.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
There are some people jumping the gun, and it's like, guys, he only played 1 game and he didn't start it. Like, let's just, take it back a step, right? Like, the first time he messes up really bad, he's probably going to get a lot of flack for it now, because, one spectrum to the other kind of thing, one end to the other.
Now, he will...
Actually...
Oh, sorry. He will be fine. Like, I think Pats Nation is excited because we're like, oh, we have our next quarterback. Right,
I think
so
after
it's
the
nice.
year with Cam, I'd be excited as a Pats fan too.
It's nice to have a young guy.
Cam didn't do terrible, but obviously it was not the best thing to happen right after Tom Brady, right?
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of disconnect, but I think, with Mac Jones, they're definitely on the right path, and I hate saying that about the Pats, but I do want to hop to Trey Lance because I wanted to ask you after that first game, do you think that San Fran made the wrong choice?
Oh, no, not at
I'm
all.
sorry, but if you look at the way Trey Lance played compared to the way Mac Jones played, and you know what?
Oh,
I'm going to go back and
I
say
misunderstood.
that's what I'm asking about. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you talking about? I mean, so the
Sorry,
way, like the
I
way Trey
mistook
Lance
that.
played in that first game versus the way Mac Jones played in his first game, it's clear Trey Lance has a lot more to go. So in my head, I think, the Pats got lucky that he was there, made the right move to take him. But I mean, as much as I think, yes, it's a good fit for Trey Lance because he can learn from Jimmy G. Jimmy G's not going anywhere for a little bit probably. So, like, we know Mac Jones is eventually going to take over. We don't necessarily know Trey Lance is going to take over for San Fran. So do you think that, like, San Fran's kind of kicking themselves in the butt, like, man, we should have picked up Mac Jones?
No, here's my thing with Trey Lance. Think of it in the same situation that you think of your own team with Alex Smith and Pat Mahomes.
Yeah.
Initially, yeah, Alex Smith in the first season, maybe even the first 2 seasons, arguably the better, or definitely the better quarterback. Okay. Mm-hmm. So in this situation, Jimmy G, yes, the better quarterback right now. Trey Lance, you can mold him. You have time.
Absolutely.
Kyle Shanahan wanted Trey Lance. He wanted that type of quarterback. So I don't think
they wanted
chose
to
wrong.
build on someone.
Yeah. I don't think. Now go back to like quarterback prototypes. Belichick is great at coaching, probably all prototype, but where we see him at his best coaching is that stay-at-home quarterback, the one that can make those quick passes, quick, small, or short to medium passes.
Yeah. Maybe I'm just thinking, like, as a fan, like, if I were a San Fran fan, if I was a 49ers fan and I was watching this preseason, I'd be kind of upset my team didn't take Mac Jones. But I understand where San Fran is coming from, taking him to be someone they can mold. I just wanted to ask you that because, like, it's clear that Mac Jones had a better game, but you can't deny that Trey Lance did play well. He did end up laying out an 80-yard pass in his first game. It was gorgeous.
It
like,
was
there's
beautiful.
no doubt he will take over one day for Jimmy G. Whether that's in 1 year or 3 years, we don't know, but it's somewhere in the future.
And they don't need it this year. Like, let Jimmy G.
No,
What's the worst case? Jimmy G actually makes it through the whole season and then crush it. Like, actually does well. Great. That gives Trey Lance as much time as he needs. And Kyle Shanahan and his team is set up for a Chiefs type situation, not a New England Patriots like situation. So they're in like switching Mac Jones with Trey Lance would not be good.
That's fair. But like that also, like if Jimmy G does well all season, that also puts Jimmy G in a good spot because he can either decide to stay if he wants to, because they know that they'll continue to use him as a first string, or he could probably go anywhere else.
And he'll probably run because he'll get a lot of money offers from like. Think about if Wentz doesn't survive the situation at the Colts. Think about if Teddy Bridgewater doesn't survive the situation in the Carolina Panthers. Like there are going to be so many first string quarterback options because correct me if I'm wrong. I believe this upcoming QB prospect pool from college for next draft isn't as strong. Like, yes, my boy Radler's in there. Then you have your boy from Clemson, but like, it's not.
I think DJ is not.
Oh, he's 2 more?
He still has 2 more.
Okay, perfect.
He's not.
Like Radler,
I'm pretty
I
sure
can
he
name.
still has 2 more. But you're right. The incoming for 2022 is going to be a lot smaller for a quarterback selection than it was this year. This year definitely had. I can't talk today. Definitely had a higher QB intake. And that's, I mean, also on top of that, you can enter the draft in your third, you have to finish 3 years. So you don't have to go back for a 4th year. So there were a lot of quarterbacks in this draft too that were only 3 years. So there were the 3-year ones and the 4-year ones, or the ones that had redshirted and were in a 4th year finishing school that were in that draft. So there were a lot of 3rd and 4th years in that one. I think this year is just going to be a lot of those tail end guys. Perfect. Or like Spencer Radler 3 and out kind of thing. I think he's a 3 and out.
I can't wait. Remember. Yes, he is. I can't wait for Oklahoma's first game.
Hey, we have news about Oklahoma for our next episode,
I know.
But I won't jump to that just yet. We have a whole college football episode update next week, and that I will spew all of my thoughts on.
I can't wait.
Um, Two more. I'm really just focusing on the quarterbacks from the
Yeah.
preseason games because I think that's really what we took away from them. Well, the Jets. Not only am I really impressed with Zach Wilson, I'm also impressed with the coach that they've hired. Like we talked about him on the last episode. Was it a diversity hire? Was it not? I don't fucking care. This guy is great. I love how he is turning this team around, and I love that he's doing it with Zach Wilson.
Yeah. I also love that you talk about how he's changing the culture. He's building
He
his
is.
own culture too. For
I have
finally.
seen so many players tweet out that they are so happy Zach is there. They're very happy to be playing at the Jets. They're having a good time at training camp. Like, I don't think the morale for the Jets team has ever been this high.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it high before. The thing that I'm like super impressed with Salah about is just like he's able to create his own culture. So anytime we've heard of new hires, with the exception of this year, I always would constantly hear the fact that it's like, oh, this is from the Belichick line of coaching. It's the Belichick system, or this is from the Reed line of system. So he's like of this pedigree. So they always talk in terms of like the culture that this coach was going to bring from the coach they learned from. And it's like, no, no, no. Like there is only one Andy Reid. There is only one Belichick. There's only one of all of these types of coaches that, while prolific, you don't need to emulate them. And Salah
No.
basically was like, this is mine now. And
Yeah, and you
here we
don't need
go.
to, like, you
And
can
it's
learn from
killing
these
it.
coaches. You can easily learn from these coaches, but you don't have to be compared to them and saying, oh,
Yeah.
it's because, he played, like, he coached under this person or was an assistant under this person. It's like you can easily assist under multiple different coaches and take everything you've learned and create your own strategy, which is exactly what he's doing, and I fucking love it.
Yeah. But we're here to talk about Zach Wilson. And I don't know if you watched any of the Jets game, but I
didn't.
did. Oh boy.
Were you happy about it?
Can't wait to watch it. I still think they do not win a game in their
No.
division. Like they are not beating the Bills. They are not okay. Maybe they might beat the Dolphins because I don't know if you watched much of the Dolphins game. Tua
No, I
looked
didn't.
great,
How
but
did he
they
do?
still looked kind of off. So,
Aw.
but Wilson, he looked the part. He had some pretty terrible throws because he just made the wrong read that you can correct.
Yeah,
Like
I think he's just getting used to
exactly.
also again being on a shitty team, right? They're not just rebuilding the quarterback, they're rebuilding the whole fucking team. It's
Yeah.
gonna take them a few games to get into their groove. By no means am I judging Zach Wilson on week 1 preseason.
No, and the best thing with him is he just looked happy to be there. And well, normally you wouldn't credit that to a player that just got drafted. Like, of course they're happy to be there.
I think it's that Zach Wilson and the new coach that has really brought things up for them.
Yeah, I'm just so accustomed to seeing Jets players look miserable when they're attending
I
camp.
know!
And they don't look
And
miserable, and
all
it's
tweeting about
great.
being happy. They're all tweeting that they're happy,
Yeah.
they're having a good time, that they love working with Zach Wilson, and I'm like, this could not get any better. And if you want to see the smile get any bigger on my face, we can start talking about Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, yeah. So I assume you watched it? You watched his debut?
I didn't watch all of it. I did watch a little bit of his debut. I watched him, move around in the pocket, lay one out long to Brown and caught. And I was just like, it's like watching the old Trevor Lawrence again.
Wow.
I was like, oh, there he is. I was so excited. I didn't watch too much of the rest of the game because I know that I'm going to get a full season of him. But just to watch him and know that like he's still where he was at when he left college and that he's going to build on that. I'm very excited to see where Trevor Lawrence takes the Jags.
Yeah, it was fun. I tuned in because I'm trying to, for the
It's very weird
podcast.
seeing him in teal. So weird seeing him in teal,
Yeah.
I have to say.
For the podcast, I figured I should start looking at some other teams than I normally do. And no, so I watched the Jags, and it was funny because like I watched the game, I don't remember the game. And as I was saying to you, like I have actually a decent memory for games and like plays, and I look forward to basically demonstrating that in the future. But
they're switching lines all the time. It's hard to like really follow preseason games because they're always switching things out. And so I kind of just like to glance at them every once in a while. Like I'm happy I got to see Trevor Lawrence make a few throws. I'm happy I got to see Trey Lance make that 80-yard pass kind of thing, but I didn't watch the whole game.
Yeah, no, it's funny, but like when I look at all the other quarterbacks, I can tell you probably their best play or potentially some of the biggest plays they made or almost made in the game. With Trevor Lawrence, I couldn't do that, or with T-Law, I couldn't do that.
Probably the throw to
But
Brown. That was
yeah,
probably the highlight for him.
exactly. But I was like, I don't remember much of that game. And then as I was saying to you before we started recording, I was like, it's probably a good thing. It just means that, like, yeah, he wasn't remarkable, but he wasn't.
Like, you
it
remembered
wasn't
that
bad.
Zach Wilson missed a couple plays.
Yeah,
and,
like
read a few things wrong, but you couldn't point that out with Trevor.
Yeah, he didn't do anything wrong either. So it's like he
So what you're
belongs.
saying
He's
is
just
he
was
fits seamlessly
boring.
into the league.
No, 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 no. Your boy did not look seamless in a lot of his plays. The only thing I couldn't figure out, and you might be better for this, and this will end probably after this, is he was missing a lot of his outlook passes to his old running back, to Etienne. Like he would go and he would try and flick it off, which I had seen them do throughout Clemson, like almost seamlessly. So and you may not have seen it. It's like, is it?
I didn't see it, but I know what you're talking about.
So and you probably can't answer this because it's like, what I'm wondering is, have they moved Etienne over or to a different side on T-Law that their timing's just off? Like, is there something that's just slightly off? Because it should come back like that. The play is the same. Mm-hmm. Like, it should be natural. It could have been nerves, but
I don't know. It might have been that they switched sides. I know I could not tell you if I watched the game if that was true or not, but that like makes sense. But I do know at training camp they were trying to train ETN as more of like a middle catch runaway kind of thing.
Yeah, a James White type player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they want him, and like he can catch the ball, but I think they're trying to use him too much like that, and Trevor Lawrence is not used to using him like that. So when they tell him instead of passing it to him, you're going to throw it to him, I think that scrambles his brain.
Okay, yeah. So instead of the simple handoff, it's now he's throwing. So although the play is the same,
he would never throw to him on Clemson unless it was supposed to be a throw play, and he was the only one open in the middle, and he'd just shoot it over to him and let him run.
Okay.
So I think that's it. I think they're just trying to use him in a way that Trevor Lawrence never has. Okay. And it's uncomfortable.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's probably wrong, but that's my thought.
All right. Well, I guess that's all we have for today's show. It's great to be back, but as always, please leave us a comment below. This week, we'd actually love to hear about, which rookie you were most impressed with this past
Trevor
week.
Lawrence.
Maybe which rookie you were least impressed with. Come shit on my own quarterback. Yeah, come after me about Mac Jones.
I just really
I'm
wanted
all
to
for
see
it.
Mac Jones get sacked.
31 other teams are pissed that Mac Jones even looked okay during this. But yeah, let us know. Let us know what rookies on your team you want us to look out for, or who you're most excited to see take the field next week as the starters actually begin to take more and more snaps, right? So as the preseason progresses, you're going to see the Tom Brady's, the Aaron Rodgers, the Pat Mahomes, all your favorite players are going to slowly start entering the lineup again and play for longer periods of time as they work their way up. So let us know. Are there some players you want us to check out that maybe we haven't seen or watched much before because they weren't all of that? Yeah, give me new teams to watch, fall in love with, and then shit on. Because yes, I'm going to. It is time for football. But college, as Chelsea mentioned earlier in this show, college update is coming next week, and I'm super excited because I actually have things to contribute to the conversation this time because I am fired up about Oklahoma. But in the meantime, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and rate and review this show. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or at our website. And on our website, we have all the links to all the other areas that you can listen to our show. In the meantime, we'll catch you next week and start watching that football because it's going to start coming hard and fast. That's what she said.
Listen in to Primetime Dimes every Wednesday for your latest on football.